Your reaction first to this news about the army being brought in. I mean, you've been there before with contingency planning. Is this something that is always on standby, or are we perhaps facing real problems this winter?
Well, we're certainly facing real problems, but the ability for the Department of Health to call on the Ministry of Defence as a contingency or for real problems has always been there. It's part of the government's emergency planning. Quite what they'll do, I don't know. I mean, quite a lot of the Army does have, of course, the Royal Army Medical Corps, but a lot of them are reservists, and a lot of them are already working in hospitals. So, for example, Frimley Park Hospital in Surrey has what used to be the Cambridge Military Hospital staff working side by side. So it won't make a huge deal of difference in terms of what's available. If the paramedics go on strike, then certainly they will be able to drive ambulances and things like that. But it will make a small difference, I think, is the answer.
OK, now looking at this plan, £113 million for research and the blueprint from the vaccine rollout on COVID. Does that make sense to you?
Well, look, I mean, I really don't want to sound churlish here. And, you know, if ever there's any money for the NHS, I'm always in the front of the queue. But, you know, 30 million each for cancer, obesity, mental health and you know, whatever, I forget whatever the other one is now. But I mean, firstly, it's a tiny amount of money. Secondly, things like obesity are a kind of lifetime problem. Mental health, the big problem we got in mental health is there aren't enough staff in mental health, not enough nurses, not enough psychiatrists, a lot of them have left. So if you look at all these problems, these are all long-range problems. Now, look, a fresh pair of eyes coming in from the outside. I mean, certainly the vaccine rollout was a huge success with Kate Bingham, and perhaps she can work her magic here. But my kind of guess is that this is really more of a public relations stunt. I mean, the NHS, we've got, I mean, how many times have I been on this channel talking about ambulances queuing around the block, waiting times now nudging 8 million? I mean, the NHS problems are not in a long-range, longitudinal study of childhood obesity. The NHS problems are getting your granny a hip operation next week.
And I'm just wondering if, looking at the blueprint, where they're talking about a panel looking at independent experts being brought in, whether a lot of this money will just be swallowed up with actually paying quite handsome salaries to these people.
Well, you know, like I said, I don't want to be churlish. I don't want to be mean-minded. You know, bring the cash, the NHS will spend it. But in terms of outcomes, what are the outcomes? Will we live long enough to see what they are? And actually, you know what? There's a strike in 10 days' time. We really should be focusing on that.